Hi, welcome to MyFSY. This is our Ageless yoga program, and we've designed this especially for people of all ages. Simple practices that literally anyone can do. And today we have my friend Anne, who's 83 years young, who's going to be modeling some of these poses just to show how they can be done really with grace and simplicity. And we both know they always make you feel so good. So that's our intention, to improve your circulation, to build some strength around your joints, and to really just help you get rid of some of the stiffness that most of us think is just due to old age, but is really due to a lack of movement. So for this practice, we'd recommend that you'd have a sticky mat and a blanket. You can see I have this blanket here. Kind of tough to see with the mat background sometimes. But just roll your mat out and set your blanket up toward the back part of the mat. And then, Anne, if you wouldn't mind lying down. When you do lie down, you want to have your head on the blanket, not your neck, but just the actual skull. And you can leave your feet on the ground just as they are, knees bent, feet on ground like that, yeah. Anne's blanket in this case is just a little bit too high, so I'm going to make it lower. Note, when you're doing this at home, the blanket really just wants to keep your head congruous with the rest of your spine. So please don't make your blanket so big that your head is getting pushed up and your chin's getting scrunched toward your chest. Just keep it so your head can really rest, so that your back can be nice and long. And this is a wonderful position to begin any yoga practice, no matter what age you are. It's called constructive rest position. Constructive because something beneficial is happening. And resting because actually you don't have to activate any muscles to be in this shape. So I'll ask Anne to just put her hands on her belly, if you can do that for me. Just below your navel, so slide the hands a little lower. And for just a minute, close your eyes and tune in to the flow of your breath. Tune into the natural rhythm of your breath. You'll feel how your hands rise up each time you inhale. And they fall back toward your back as you exhale. Most of us forget that we've been breathing since birth. It's not like we need to learn necessarily how to breathe, but we forget how often we interfere with our breath. So this opening minute of just feeling the rise and fall of your hands establishes some inner commitment. It's an inner commitment for you to just keep your breath moving, no matter what we do. You can let your eyes open. And as you feel your exhale, hug your right knee into your chest. Super simple. Simple movement, which is just designed to keep healthy motion through your hip joints. We all know that as we get older, the hip joints become particularly susceptible to injury. And so you just have a sense that even here, as you're hugging your knee to your chest, the muscles around your right hip are softening, kind of yielding. Good. As you inhale, release. Put that foot down on the ground. Keep the knee bent, so just keep it right on the ground. And as you exhale, hug your left knee into your chest. Easy does it. Keep your shoulders nice and relaxed. Keep your head nice and relaxed on that blanket. And even though the pose seems static, continue to feel that there's this rhythm, an easy rhythm to your breath. And somehow, each time you exhale, the leg falls a little closer to your chest. Good, and that's it. Release. Put the left foot down. On your exhalation, hug your right knee to your chest again. And while yoga is so great at really increasing your flexibility, or restoring your flexibility, as I would like to say. It's also such a great way to gently strengthen yourself. So this is a wonderful opportunity to do a little belly strengthening. As you exhale, lift your head and your shoulders off the floor for a little sit-up. No need to overdo. You don't need to tense your neck or anything. Just firm your belly. Do your best to sit up a little higher with your chest. Yeah. And then release. Come down. Head down. Foot to ground. Still in the flow of your breath. As you feel your exhale, hug your left knee in. With your next exhalation, do the sit up again. Ideally, your belly wants to hollow back toward your back. Yeah, in order to sit you up higher. That's it. And then release. Head down, foot to ground. Easy does it, right? One more time. Hug your right knee into your chest. Keep your head resting. And with this little strap, remember, you don't actually have to have a fancy yoga strap. You could have an old tie. You could have the belt off of an old robe or something. Anything with a bit of length to it. You just lasso whatever that strap you have is, or right around your right foot. And with one hand on each strand, start to straighten that leg up to the sky. Yeah. Beautiful. That's it. You just keep your neck easy. Keep your shoulders loose. For most of us, now Anne's making this look really easy because she practices this quite a bit, right? So it's kind of easy. You might note that your leg is not nearly vertical. That's A-okay. What we all find is that just doing a little bit of this practice, goes a long way to removing some of the tightness. The tightness that accrues from us sitting all the time in chairs. We never really get to stretch out this thoroughly. And I love this pose because it's very safe. Her back is supported. And yes, quite a stretch on the back of the leg. Good. Now I'll ask Anne to straighten the other leg. Can you extend your other leg on the ground? As you do that, you'll feel that your top leg moves a little bit further away from your chest. So tighten up on the reins of your belt. You continue to feel the presence of your breath. That's it. And especially as you exhale, try to push up through that right heel. Push up through that right heel so the leg straightens. Yeah, nice, Anne. Can we do one variation? I think so. Put both of the straps into your right hand. Take your left arm out wide to the side. Make sure that both legs are straight. And then slowly start to drop your right leg over to the right. Over to the right. Don't worry about how far down it goes. It's more important, actually, that your body stays nice and level on the floor. And you can give yourself even a little bit more slack just so the leg can be straight. Yeah, that's it. That's it. We already talked a little bit about how vital the hips are. The hips are the hub of movement in the human body. You need to keep them well lubricated and pliable. And one of the better things you can do for your hip in this pose is to turn your thigh outwardly in that hip socket. Nice, Anne. That's it. Good. And then come back to center with that leg. Nice. I'll take the strap for you for a sec. And you could have both of your knees bent, feet on the ground. Yeah, easy does it. Easy does it. Good. Now, it's also worth pausing every now and then between right and left sides just to observe the effects of the pose. If you've never done this one before, you might be astounded to realize that the whole right side of your body, not just your right leg, but the whole right side of your body feels more relaxed. Some people even notice that their right nostril is even more open. You're like, wow, I thought I was just doing a leg stretch, but really yoga makes us appreciate how interconnected the whole body is. So in any case, whatever you're noticing, you probably would agree you want your left side to feel like your right one does. So as you exhale, hug your left knee into your chest. And again, you're going to take your old belt or your whatever, your robe, your little robe belt, whatever you're using for the strap, lasso your left foot and stretch that leg to the sky. Now, careful not to lock your knee. Sometimes it's common for the knee to get sort of pushed on. Don't lock your knee. Just reach from your hip straight up through your heel. Yeah. From your hip straight up through your heel. Let's go one hand on each strand just to start in. It's a lot easier if both of your arms are holding the belt. And you're just extending, clearing the back of the leg. Why stretch the hamstrings? That's worth even saying as well. When your hamstrings get tight, it starts to pull your pelvis out of alignment, which throws your lower spine out of alignment. And so a lot of just general low-grade lower back problems are related to the fact that we just have stiffness on the backs of the legs. And yoga is a more indirect healing art. When you start to instead of looking specifically at your lower back, we say, well, let's try to open up some surrounding areas, namely the backs of the legs here. And most people find it's like, gosh, I'm doing these poses you recommend, and all of a sudden my back feels really good. So I'll ask you to keep the leg straight, and now extend the other leg on the ground. Push out through that leg. Yeah. Obviously, you can give yourself enough slack with your belt so that the leg can stay straight. That's it. Good, and then put both straps in your left hand. Take your right arm out wide to the side. Slowly start to drop your left leg to the left. Yeah. Remember, it's not important that the leg comes to the ground. What's most important is that the rest of your body stays level to the ground. There you go. And that other little piece about the hips. Deep inside your left hip socket, turn the thigh outwardly. Yeah. That's it. Turn the thigh out so that your left knee and your left toes should aim a little bit more toward the floor. Great. Good job. Come back to center. I'll take your strap, and you could have both of your legs bent. Yep, feet on floor. Ah, so nice, so satisfying every time, isn't it? Okay, so without using your hands, you'll cross your right ankle on top of your left knee. Now, I'll differentiate. When I say point the foot, that means your foot wants to be more like a ballerina. When I say flex the foot, I want the foot to be more like this shape. Yeah, so that the toes, instead of the foot being sort of limp, the toes are straight up. Okay, and then you'll hug the left knee into your chest. Yeah, not your right one, but let's hug this knee into the chest. Yeah, other left, that's okay. That's okay, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, a lot of rights and lefts in yoga. Yeah, and so this one is designed, this pose is designed to open up the outside of your hip. And same thing, just due to a lot of excess sitting. Most of us have layers, like sedimentary rock layers, around the outer hips. And so Anne's probably feeling a little bit of a stretch there. And yet, because she's got her breath flowing, yeah, she can just start to tease this leg a little closer into the chest. The breath brings us a relaxation. Yeah, there you go. Good. And then release. Let's go. Both knees bent, feet on ground. Second side, if you will, put your left ankle on top of your right knee. Flex your foot. Hug your right knee into your chest. Super. Sometimes you find that one of your strategies to avoid feeling some of the hip tightness is you'll put more tightness in other places, like your shoulders will tense up or your jaw might tighten up. And none of those things are very useful. So the best thing you do is just recognize some superfluous tensions. And from that recognition, you'll start to let them go. You're like, okay, yeah, I don't need to be tightening my shoulders. I don't need to be clenching my teeth. Just breathing, being in this shape. And as you can see with Anne, she's just ever so slightly drawing the right knee closer to her chest. There you go. Very nice. Excellent. And then release. Bring both feet to the ground. This time, bring the soles of your feet together. Let the knees drop apart. And while this one can seem so mild, it's really just a passive stretch for the muscles of the inner thighs. And again, the feeling of your breath, especially those exhales, will help to almost thaw. They'll sort of thaw the legs into openness. Great. Put your hands on the outer legs, fold your knees together. So now instead of the soles being together, the knees apart, I want you to walk your feet wider apart. Let's bring the feet a little wider than your sticky mat. So keep going. We'll bring these footsies a little wider. Yeah, keep going out to about right here, Anne. That's it. Okay, and then slowly drop both of your knees over to your left. There you go. That's it. Come back to center with those legs. And do the opposite. Slowly drop both the legs over to the right.
Have to move my feet.
That's okay. That's okay. Do that a couple times on each side. Just like windshield wipers, like the slowest setting of the windshield wipers. You're just dropping the legs side to side. That's it. And ideally, inside each hip socket, you should feel like there's this inward turning of the thigh bone. One more time to each side. As you're dropping to the left, you'll feel that your right thigh bone is turning inwardly inside the hip. Good. Come back to center. As you drop your knees over to the right, you'll feel that the left thigh bone is turning inwardly. Good. Come back to center and then hug both of your knees into your chest hand. It's really not that important if you know internal rotation, external rotation of your thighs. Suffice it to say, we all really want our thigh bones to be balanced inside the hip sockets. And so these simple yoga postures they've turned the thighs in both directions. They've stretched the outside of the hip, the inside of the hip. And so what I want you to do right now is just to lie down with your legs straight. Turn your palms to face up to the sky. Let the arms be a little wider apart, Anne. Yeah. And just close your eyes. And while this is always relaxing and comforting, I just want for 1 minute, I just want you to sense deep inside your hip sockets. Feel the way those bones are resting in those sockets. Do they feel a little more centered, maybe? Do they feel like they have there's a little more space in those joints? And you almost always feel that due to the simple stretches we did for the hips and the legs, your belly's able to relax. Your legs feel a little more down to earth. That's okay. Good.
I have a tickle in my throat.
That's okay. Go ahead. Well, good timing because we're done our practice. You can bend your knees in and just roll over to your right side and use your arms to lift up to seated. Very nice.
Am I still on camera?
That concludes our session. See you next time. Good job. I'll get you a sip of water, okay?